The year was 1754. The scene? A Fleet Street coffee house in London, where a bowl, tastefully set in the middle of a table, read, "To ensure promptitude," TIP. Thus, the English word tip was born. The date and location of the story are actually important. In many ways, the modern practice of tipping started in the Industrial Revolution, which began in England around this time. As the aristocracy made more money in the productivity boom, they were more likely to dine out, stay in hotels, travel on trains, and come into contact with poorer people who were serving them. It became normal to tip good service by the riffraff. And so tipping trickled downward, from the 1% to the 99. In the last 100 years, though, Europe has slowly moved away from tipping, with laws that force restaurants to pay waiters higher wages. In the US, by comparison, tipping has become more and more mainstream. Some states only require restaurants to pay $2 minimum wages, expecting the rest to be made up by our generosity. Each year, Americans spend $40 billion on tips. That's more than we spend on foreign aid and more than we spend on gambling. And like gambling, it's not entirely clear that tipping makes any sense in the first place. There's absurdly little evidence that tipping makes people better at their jobs. The vast majority of people don't work for tips, and they seem to be doing just fine. It might make sense if tipping were performance-based, but it's not. Large party tips tend to be lower, credit card tips tend to be higher. We tip waiters more when they draw little smiley faces on our check or touch us gently on the shoulder. Most of us just tip a certain percent out of habit. One study found that good or bad service only adds or subtracts as little as 1% of the total tip. The custom of tipping seems random, yet there's a method to it. Tipping started amongst the aristocracy, and to this day, we tip when we feel aristocratic. We tip when we have our shoes shined, when we have food brought to us, when we get massages or have our bags carried. But by tipping the people that make us feel like kings, we ensure that they're paid like paupers. Americans imported tipping from the Europeans. Maybe we should copy Europe again. Pay people livable wages and stop tipping altogether.